The Samsung Galaxy S10 is finally here, and this is actually Samsung's biggest design change and change in general in a smartphone right after the move from the Galaxy S5 to the old metal and glass Galaxy S6 in 2015. And the S10 actually comes out in just 2 weeks, so if you've been holding off getting a new smartphone for a while now, here's how it compares to the iPhone XS Max when it comes to the design, the display, performance, camera, special features, software, battery, storage, and price. So yeah, everything you need to know. Also guys, I'm doing a giveaway at the end of this video, so don't forget about that and stay tuned for that. And yeah, here's everything you need to know in terms of the S10 versus the iPhone XS Max. Okay, so starting off with the design, unlike the S9, which was an S8s in terms of the design, with just some small changes such as the slightly thinner top and bottom bezels and a matte instead of a glossy frame, the S10 is actually a completely brand new design. And also, unlike the S9, which came in 2 models, the S9 and the S9 Plus, the S10 comes in 3 models, the S10e, the S10, and the S10 Plus, and there's also a 4th special model, the S10 Plus with 5G. So from the front, the S10 and the S10 Plus look almost identical. The top and the bottom bezels have now been removed almost entirely on the S10 and the S10 Plus, with a very thin border remaining on the S10e. And you know, aside from the very, very thin chin on the bottom, we only get a front-facing camera hole, and that's it. So it's a huge design change and improvement from even the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max, which still featured the exact same notch as the one we had in the original iPhone X from 2017. The S10 Plus does get a dual front-facing camera module, but other than that, the S10s, all of them represent the future of smartphone design. So I really hope that Apple would update the iPhone design in 2019, because they definitely need to do that to keep up with Samsung. Also, they need to make that notch smaller. So yes, the Samsung Galaxy S10 does look better than the iPhones, but the iPhone XS's actually do come with a stainless steel frame, which does look more premium and feel more premium than the polished aluminum frame that we get with the S10s. Now, in terms of the thickness, the iPhone XS Max is 7.7mm thick, the S10 Plus is 7.8mm thick, so pretty much almost the same. Now the iPhone XS Max, because of that stainless steel frame, it weighs in at 208 grams versus 175 only on the S10 Plus, so it's quite significantly lighter than the iPhone XS Max. And there's also a ceramic model of the S10 Plus, and that one weighs in at 198, so that's a bit heavier but still lighter than the iPhone XS Max. In terms of the colors, we get silver, space gray, and gold on the iPhone XS Max, and prism white, prism black, prism green, and also some ceramic models, black and white, on the S10 Plus. And also those colors, they actually have hues, so they have a gradient that changes its color based on the light. So that's quite cool. So like I said before, design-wise, I would go with the S10 Plus any time of the day. Actually, even the smaller S10 or the S10e, since they do look better with just that single camera cutout. Moving on to the actual display, let's see which one has a better panel. So on the iPhone XS Max, we have an OLED display that's, fun fact, manufactured by Samsung, but according to Apple specifications, and this display also supports HDR, and the peak brightness is about 625 nits. Now on the S10 Plus, we have an OLED display, you know, AMOLED, but that's still OLED by the way, HDR support, even HDR Plus, HDR10 Plus on the S10, as well as Gorilla Glass 6. And interesting enough, the proximity sensor and the ambient sensors are actually embedded into the display panel on the S10. And when it comes to the actual brightness of the S10 Plus, it's at about 825 nits. This is the normal brightness, the maximum one that you can set through the settings, compared to the 625 that we have on the iPhone XS Max. So yes, the S10 Plus does have a brighter display than the iPhone does. So, you know, it's easier to read outdoors. Now, when it comes to the size, on the iPhone XS Max, we have a 6.5-inch display, and on the S10 Plus, we have a 6.4-inch display. And then, like I said before, there's the S10 Plus with a 5G. That's a separate model, and that one comes with a 6.7-inch display. So that's a monster. Unfortunately, we don't know when that thing is coming out. It hasn't been announced in terms of the release date, so we don't know anything about that aside from specs. But that's a monster. In terms of the actual resolution, on the iPhone XS Max, we have 2688 by 1242, 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio, and a PPI or pixel density of 458. On the S10 Plus, we have 3040 by 1440, 19 by 9 aspect ratio, and a PPI of 550. So high PPI means that this is better for VR. If you care about mobile VR, then definitely get the Samsung Galaxy S10. Next up, let's talk about the performance. First things first, the CPU. So on the iPhone XS Max, we have an Apple A12 processor. It's based on a 7nm process, and it's designed by Apple, but manufactured by TSMC. On the S10 Plus, we have the Exynos 9820 for the international models of the S10. This is based on an 8nm process, and this is designed and also manufactured by Samsung, so it's an in-house chip. But then we can also get the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 if you get the US or Canadian models of the S10. This is based on a 7nm process. This is designed and manufactured not by Samsung, but by Qualcomm. Now, when it comes to the actual benchmarks, we have the Geekbench 4 scores of all of these, and the iPhone XS Max has always been, the champion of performance, but the Samsung Galaxy S10 is actually really close. So the XS Max scores 4,797 points for the single-core performance, and 11,212 for the multi-core. Now, the S10 Plus, the Exynos 9820 model, that one scores 4,472 points for the single core, so really, really close to the Apple A12, and then 10,387 for the multi-core performance. Again, really close to what Apple offers. Now, when it comes to the Snapdragon 855 models of the S10, this one scores 3,545 points for the single core performance. So yeah, that's a significant drop from the Exynos, and then 11,150 for the multi-core, which is actually a bit higher and almost the same as the Apple A12. So yeah, long story short, you will get significantly better performance actually if you get the Snapdragon 855 model. Also, since the Exynos 9820 is designed and manufactured by Samsung, the battery life should also be better like it's been in the past. So if you're US or Canadian based, try and get your hands on the international model of the S10, the one that comes with the Exynos processor. Now, when it comes to the RAM, the iPhone XS Max comes in with 4GB of RAM, and that's for all storage capacity, so 64, 256, and 512. Now, RAM doesn't really matter that much on iOS because everything is really well optimized. The S10 Plus, however, it comes with 6GB of RAM, and that's actually for the baseline model, 128GB, and also there's a 1TB storage model, and that one comes with 12GB of RAM. How crazy is that? 12GB, 3 times as much as what Apple offers. But again, iOS is really well optimized, so you don't really need 12GB on iOS, not even on Android. 6GB on Android is really good actually. 12 is a lot, way more than you'll ever need. Next up, let's talk about a camera because everyone wants an amazing camera on their smartphone. So we'll be doing a full in-depth camera comparison once we get a final version of the S10. So definitely subscribe and enable notifications if you want to see those videos because yes, there's going to be a few of them as soon as they come out. Check out the playlist for all the previous ultimate camera comparisons. They're about 20 minutes each, extremely detailed with lots of tests, over 20 plus individual tests. So yeah, that's coming out pretty soon. But until then, here's how the camera specs look on paper. So on the iPhone XS Max, we have a single camera module on the front. That's 7-megapixel resolution, an f2.2 aperture, and you can record 1080p video in up to 60 frames per second. And you can also do portrait mode with a front-facing camera thanks to the 3D depth sensing array of sensors that we have on the iPhone XS Max. The S10 Plus comes with a dual camera module on the front. We actually have a regular camera and then an RGB depth camera. The main one is 10 megapixels in resolution, f1.9 aperture, and then the secondary one is 8 megapixels and f2.2. However, from what I've seen, there's no wide-angle lens, so you cannot really take extremely wide-angle shots like you can on something like the Pixel 3 XL. So portrait mode is also possible on the S10 Plus by the fact that we have 2 camera modules, and then you can do 4K video actually with a front-facing camera. This is one of the first smartphones to be able to record in 4K with a front-facing camera, which is awesome. Again, 4K and 1080p 60 on the iPhone. When it comes to the back-facing camera, on the iPhone XS Max, we have not 1 but 2 modules. So the first one is the main module. This is a 12-megapixel camera, f1.8 aperture, and the second one is also 12-megapixel camera and f2.4 aperture. But then on the S10 Plus, we actually have 3 camera modules. So the first one is a 12-megapixel sensor, f1.5 to f2.4 aperture, so it's actually a variable aperture. The second one is the zoom module, which is 12 megapixels, f2.4, and then the third one is a new wide-angle module, which is 16 megapixels, f2.2, but unfortunately there's no optical image stabilization or autofocus on that third wide-angle module. And then there's also a fourth module if you count the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus 5G model. The one comes with a fourth module that's a depth sensing sensor. Also, in case you're not that familiar with apertures, the smaller that aperture number that you see, the larger the physical aperture will be, and the more light it will be able to capture. So the smaller the number, the better the camera is in low light. Now, when it comes to video, the iPhone XS Max can do 4K 60, which is really impressive. Same thing on the S10 Plus actually, but this one can also do HDR10 Plus recording. This is the world's first smartphone capable of recording in HDR10 Plus. Okay, so we talked about the design, the display, the performance, the camera. So let's talk about the special features. Every single special features that make both of these phones unique. I won't be mentioning the features that they have in common, like water resistance or wireless charging or any of those, just the ones that are unique to each phone. So on the S10 Plus, we have an ultrasonic in-display fingerprint reader this time. Awesome, it's not optical, it's way more advanced than something like the one we have in the OnePlus 6T. We also have a heart rate monitor, which not a lot of people know about, and an oxygen level meter on the back, which not even a lot of smartwatches do, so that's awesome. And then remember when I said that you can also get a 1TB model of the S10 Plus. Well, it still supports a microSD card slot, so you can actually expand that to up to 1.5 terabytes of storage. You also get support for 5G on the S10 Plus with that separate S10 Plus model, which hasn't been released yet. And then also Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi AX standard that's supported by the S10 Plus. Also something really cool is reverse wireless charging. So for example, you can charge the new Samsung Galaxy Buds, the headphones, by just placing them on the back of the S10 or even a different smartphone. How cool is that? Then we have the triple lens camera, the always-on display, which you still don't have on the iPhone XS Max or any iPhones. We have Gorilla Glass 6, and then we have the Samsung DeX, which is awesome. So essentially you just connect this thing with a USB Type-C dock, you connect it to a monitor through HDMI, and you can use this thing as a desktop. You can attach a keyboard, a mouse wirelessly, and it just works really well. So not a lot of people know about this, but this is awesome. The iPhone doesn't support any of that. You can also run 2 apps at the same time, true side-by-side multitasking, which again you cannot do on the iPhone. And then, like I said before, if you care about VR, not only does the S10 Plus have a higher PPI, but you also have the best mobile VR headset, the Samsung Gear VR. So you can buy this separately, but it's awesome. I have one, I have 2 actually, but it's awesome. It's by far the best mobile VR that you can get. The iPhone, again, doesn't offer any of that. What else? Well, you get a fast charger in the box. You have to buy one separately with the iPhone. USB Type-C, yes, we still have a Lightning connector on the iPhone. Seriously, Apple. Headphone jack, yes, we have it, so that's cool. Also, the Bixby button, it's still there, but at least you can customize it now, so you can actually assign it to any app that you want, including Google Assistant. So yeah, we have an extra remappable button. Okay, so what about the iPhone XS Max? Well, we have that true depth sensing camera for Face ID and unlock. We also have advanced AR capabilities, which work really well. And then we also have 3D touch, so the display can actually feel the pressure of your touch and you get some additional functionality out of that. You have an advanced haptic engine, by the way, which works amazing, so you can actually feel certain functions in the OS, like scrolling through an alarm clock and so on. You also have a quad LED True Tone flash on the back, and also a True Tone display, which automatically adjusts the color temperature based on the lighting conditions in your environment. And then the water resistance is a tiny bit better on the iPhone XS Max. Even though they're both IP68 certified, the iPhone XS Max can do up to 2 meters of water up to 30 minutes versus 1.5 on the S10 Plus up to 30 minutes. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the special features. Obviously, the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus is the clear winner here. So what about the software? Well, on the iPhone XS Max we have iOS 12, and on the S10 Plus we have Android 9 or Android P. I mean, this is, there's a really big difference and lots of differences between the 2 operating systems. I could make a whole video series on just this. The S10 Plus does come with a new overlay, by the way, so it's Samsung's One UI, which does look so much better than Samsung's previous overlay, the Samsung Experience. It's designed for one-handed usability. I've already installed it on my Note 9, but the performance is actually quite bad at the moment. I've noticed quite a lot of slowdown and lag. But I do expect some improvements and bug fixes in the really near future, because this is a brand new overlay and skin, so this should be fixed quite soon. But I do like the way One UI looks a lot, and it's actually become my favorite overlay on any Android smartphone. It's really nice, to be honest. Next up, let's talk about the battery. Not the battery life. This is something that I'll be covering in my full review of the S10, because I need to use it for a few weeks, but the battery size. So the iPhone XS Max comes with a 3174 mAh battery, the S10 Plus gets a 4100 mAh battery, and also the S10 Plus with 5G, that one gets a 4500 mAh battery. So there's a significant difference between the battery size in terms of the battery size between the two. And, keep in mind that they have pretty much the exact same thickness. The S10 Plus is at 7.8, and the iPhone XS Max is at 7.7 millimeters. And you also get a fast charger in the box with the S10, wireless charging up to 15 watts versus 10 watts on the iPhone XS Max, plus that reverse wireless charging that I mentioned before that turns the S10 into a wireless charger for any wireless charging devices that you have. So that's awesome. And now let's talk about the price. So the iPhone XS Max costs $1,100, and that's for the baseline 64 gigabytes model. The S10 Plus with all of those features costs $1,000. That's for also the baseline 128 gigabyte model. Okay, so in the end, which one is better? Which one should you guys get? Well, obviously, if you already have an iPad or a MacBook, it would make a lot of sense for you to get the iPhone, as Apple's ecosystem is just brilliant. But if you're literally just looking at, just the smartphone side of it, the S10 Plus is a no-brainer. It's pretty much the full package. It's got everything you need in a smartphone, aside from the S Pen, which would be included in the Note 10. But, if you don't care about the S Pen, it is by far the best portable device that you can buy, that you can get. It's awesome. For those of you who made it until the end of this video, speaking of awesome, we're actually doing a giveaway this week. of an Amazon Echo Dot speaker. So literally all you have to do is just make sure you subscribe to the channel Zone of Tech, and also make sure you're following Zone of Tech on Instagram, and leave a comment on this post with a smarter PC case like building, saying why do you want to win an Amazon Echo Dot smart speaker, and I'll be DMing the winners on Monday the 11th of March. But yeah, let me know in the comments which one would you guys pick out of these two, the Samsung Galaxy S10 or the iPhone XS Max. Some of you might actually pick the iPhone because of the software, but let me know which one would you pick and why. Also subscribe to notifications if you want to see more cool in-depth videos like this one. Also stay tuned for the ultimate Zone of Tech camera comparisons. As soon as the S10 gets released, I'll have day one coverage. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Zone of Tech, signing out. Cheers.